Stay tuned for today's Antidote, brought to you by the Renegade Success Network. Today's Antidote features a healthy dose of thought-provoking insights and information for business owners, entrepreneurs, leaders, and nonprofit professionals. Each day since March of 2020, this program has offered that one thing to help you continue on your own unique pathway to success. And now, Renegades, we bring you Bob Graham and Tom Brush.
Are you going to do your thing?
I did. Didn't I?
You didn't do that. You might have caught the tail end.
I sneezed right before it, and I was trying to deal with it. And Tom made me laugh this morning. He makes me laugh many times, but he had a typo that changed the meaning of our broadcast this morning significantly, and we caught it at the last minute.
It is funny that the guy who's the writer isn't the one doing the writing on the graphics. It's the guy who struggled with spelling most of his adult life, but most of his whole life.
So let's get to it. Tom Brush right there. I'm Bob Graham. We are the guys who do today's Antidote for you each morning. Our goal is to give you something to chew on, to think about, to maybe apply to your life. I would say take a minute, think of something. One of the things I'm noticing is the more something seems to me like immediately I want to say no to it, that's usually the thing I need to take more time to understand. So if you hear something that we share, if something comes up for you and go, oh, that makes no sense, I would encourage you to investigate it. We also like to see what your comments are. So if you'd like to comment, feel free to put your comments in. We learn from those comments. Other people learn from each other's comments. And within this Ring of Renegades community that we're building on Facebook, we are eager to help people understand more about what they're doing, about how they see the world, because your perspective, your experience, your knowledge is different than mine. It's different than Tom's. And when we can harness all that, bring that all together, it gives us a much broader perspective, more experience, more knowledge, and that's when we really can do amazing things together. So with that, Tom, I'm going to just keep going. I'm going to roll.
I'm fine.
Okay. Our topic today is the role of words. We're talking about triggers this week, and this is something that we all have. We all get affected emotionally by things that happen, that we observe someone. I have a person who, when that person walks in the room, I immediately have a negative reaction. Just so happens it's a family member, which makes it even more complicated. Yeah, Christmas is joyous. And also there are words that people use that cause me to have an immediate reaction. Like one of the words, I don't think I've told you this, Tom, maybe I have. If someone says I'm arrogant, and I hear the word arrogant often, I'm a tall guy. If I'm in a room, I command a room just because of my size. I'm 6'6". And I'm fairly confident in what I speak of. I know what I'm talking about. I can play with words. And so I get the reputation of being arrogant. Now, what's funny to me is in the last couple months, I've done some speaking on Zoom. And some of the feedback I've been getting on Zoom is that I'm arrogant. So now the height and that presence isn't the factor. And so it causes me, if someone says I'm arrogant, I immediately get an emotional reaction. It's a negative reaction every time. I had students who would say, you're kind of arrogant. And I would immediately get upset. And I think we all have words that cause us to react certain ways. Sometimes it's the words that people just say just in passing. I know you've got a couple. What the word but is one for you?
Well, it's not I think it's different for me. So finish your thought if you want, and then I'll share mine.
Okay. And so we have words that we pack with meaning. Whether the person using those words has thought the same way you've thought about it, because I don't think when people call me arrogant, they've got the whole baggage that I bring to it. I think they're just using a word to describe me, and to them it's like calling me tall or lanky. Every time I get called lanky, I get frustrated. I don't like that word. I just think it's a lousy word. It's accurate, but that person saying I'm lanky is just saying you're tall and thin. In my head, they're making judgments about me. And I think that's part of what I'm seeing with trigger words is that the receiver of those words, imposes judgment on them that may or may not be valid.
That's fair. Yeah,
that was a pretty deep thought for a guy who didn't want to really think hard this morning.
Right. Considering Bob said to me, wasn't ready for a deep conversation this morning.
To which Tom said, "When have you been?"
Well, I don't know that I said that. Maybe I did. Well, I think that there's, when I started thinking about this, I thought about it a little differently, or in other ways that I think sometimes there are words that we use that definitely have a different, lead us down a certain path, let's say, and cause us almost to either maintain a status that we're in or take us into a status that might be worse. An example.
Or different, right? Not always worse, different.
Different, right. Yet I think sometimes because often we're not trying to be arrogant and brag, we use words that hold us down. One of the so the way I was thinking about it, but then I'm going to follow down your path, was there are words that I believe I try not to use because I don't think they have the impact or the effect that I would want them to have. So I try to not use certain words, and I have put a lot of time and effort into when I'm thinking I'm going to use that word, I try to stop because of what I have come to believe that word does. So it triggers in me something that says, if I say this, yes, some of them are throwaway words that could be just fillers, and others are words that really have a specific meaning that usually are there to drag us down. So for an example, in one of your examples, I was in a coaching pod, and one of the people in my pod, everything was, and I excuse my language here, so this on YouTube would not be children friendly, was a shit show. And they used that to describe themselves.
And we have our first obscenity. Who would have thought if we could get to this many episodes and the first person to use obscenity would be Tom Brush? I have lost the bet. I just lost $100.
What you get for betting. So you remember, I didn't want to bet on a game because I knew that I could lose.
I'm shocked.
Well, but so what I once said to the person was, every time you use that phrase, all you're doing is knocking yourself down. So why are you ever going to think that you're going to move forward and have things turn out any differently? Because every time you describe yourself or many situations, that's the phrase that you use. And so I think it just becomes, and a lot of times it was used just as a way to say the stuff is all over the place. And to me, the phrase all over the place and that other phrase are very different. That is really, why would you ever want to use that phrase about something you're doing or someone you are? Again, you got the reaction. Look at the reaction it got from you. And so I think that it's how we use those words. We had a comment that somebody was honored to have witnessed the first obscenity on the show.
You know what I love about doing this, Tom? You never know when you're going to get the surprise of all surprises. Because
keep you on your toes, Bob.
When we started this, I got to tell you, I was worried that one day I would say something that was used the wrong word, and it's just so funny that it was you. And not that it was wrong. It was descriptive, but it certainly sets a different tone.
Well, look at what it has done to you. You've thrown completely off of your thing.
I don't know
So
what
the
to do.
role of words is it matters. And I think, and that's kind of the way I look at it, is that as I'm speaking, there are a few words that I have desperately tried hard not to use. And I think that helps change the meaning. Even though a lot of people don't consider it or don't think about it that way, to me, what's real for me is that I believe those things, those words or phrases don't help me. They don't help move me forward. And that if others don't think about that, it doesn't help them move forward, except they don't think about it. So it's subconscious. It's just a word that people use, words that people use because it's in our language, and there's nothing, it's just what's real for them. That's what they share. And if I share my thoughts around why that might not be as beneficial, that maybe that will get them to think differently.
I think it's about limiting, right? If we use words that are limiting, and we were talking about this yesterday, the word but. If I say, Tom, that's a great idea, but you didn't think about this. And I know you're very strategic. I've watched you over the last year. You go, when the word but's coming, you turn it into and every time. And it shifts the language. And it also shifts how I react to things. Because it's like, well, instead of saying it's either or, you're saying it could be both or it could be somewhere in between. And it gives us opportunity to expand, whereas but really limits. And I think when we often limit ourselves in the way we use language because we're afraid to take on the big challenges. It's very easy for me to say, yeah, okay, thank you so much. That was great. I appreciate your compliment, and play it off. It's very easy for me if I come into a room and say that, I'm a hot mess. Then I'm sort of giving myself permission to not be perfect, and I'm not letting people assess me. And that's what I think about with a lot of these words that we're talking about, these trigger words, is they are doing more work than we realize. And words have incredible power. And often I think we don't use that power for good. And just shifting the language to, if I had said at the beginning of the show, this is going to be horrible, I really don't want to do this, versus you may have to carry it today, Tom. Those are two different ways to describe the same situation. One, you go, wow, okay, I'm sure I can do that. You believe me? Awesome. The other is, it's going to be a mess. And I think we do that so often to protect ourselves from having to do the big things, to really take on the world the way we're able to. I think most of us are self-limiting, and the trigger words are just one of those ways that we can stop. Because for every person who thinks I'm arrogant, I bet there's someone who's like, this guy really knows his stuff. Boy, he's really passionate. Do I fixate on the good people who say great things? No, you call me arrogant. One comment in 98 is arrogant, and that's the one I'm fixated on. It's actually two.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the things that, what you were saying is that if you're almost setting yourself up for failure. If you come on and say, hey, this is going to be horrible today, I'm just not there. Well, how do you know?
Right.
It hasn't happened. And all you're doing is place a one-time judgment, again, on what the results might be. Results that you have no idea of what they're going to look like. And if we think about the words that we choose, that may change it might not even change what the outcome is. We just might think differently about why we're going and we're doing it. How many times have you gone into a meeting with someone say, oh, this is going to just be a horrible meeting.
This is a waste of time.
Waste of time. Right. What are the chances that it's going to actually be beneficial? because you're already going in with a mindset that you know the result. You know exactly what's going to happen. And what's funny is that outside of you being the only person in the meeting, once you add other people, now it's going to be impacted. So whatever you think might happen is, yes, you believe that might be the case, and others are going to have an impact and influence on what that outcome is. You know, look at you. You thought this morning that you were not ready for a big discussion, and here we are diving into a big discussion.
Yeah.
And so you can't go back and be like, oh yeah, this was, you know, I wasn't thinking about it correctly. I was, you know.
We don't know what's going to happen.
We don't wait for the results before we pass a judgment on what the outcome might be. And that's where I get into thinking about results. Yes, results matter. And what do we take away from them? How do we move forward? So I try not to think that any experience is going to be horrible, because I don't know. You never know what might come out at the end of it, that it might actually work out fine. And something may come out of it that is actually of value. And I would offer, and I think you would not be surprised, that everything we do puts value out there. Somebody out there might benefit from it.
Absolutely. Let's get some comments in here, Tom, so we can add value to what you and I have been saying. By the way, the person who said they were honest to witness the first obscenity, that was your good friend John, your fellow coach John.
Interesting.
I thought you'd enjoy that. He also said this, I'll pick up the check, ask the question, do you think she was baiting you? Which is a good one. And this comment that I love, I dreamed to be 5'6" and called arrogant. That.
You think they meant to type 6'6"?
Yes.
Okay.
And I also want to say good morning to Steve and Troy. I see you out there. Great to have you with us. And then also, I'm working on dropping pretense and approaching with an open mind. That is also John. And I think that's one of the things that we're trying to get across here is we really don't know what's going to happen. We can't predict the future. I literally this morning, I was not in any mood to do this program. And I told that to Tom. And there have been other mornings. I'm sure you've had mornings where you're not really in the mood to do this. And this was the one time I actually mentioned it to you. Who knows if that changed the tone? Who knows if that caused you to up your game to do things differently? We have no idea. But if we're putting positive ideas, positive thoughts out into the world, the odds are significantly greater that good things are going to happen.
Yes.
I lost you there for a second.
I was there. You said that B word, so I was like, wonder if he's going to realize he said that.
I didn't even realize it. I'm just trying.
And that's what it is. So often we sometimes don't think enough about the words we use, and that's okay. You know, I'm not here to be a word police. I just think that if we think about some of those words we use and why we use them, that it may impact what we are, the state we're in, the way we feel about ourselves, the potential results we might get, that we can be more open and to the possibilities that exist.
I'm picturing Tom Brush, word police. Tom Brush, word police. Da, 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 da. Here I come to save the day.
I'm just sharing what's real for me.
Be real careful with what you say. I had that queued up.
That was actually not. I'm not sure that I want to say that was good. That will encourage.
I thought it was really good on the fly.
It was very well rhymed. Yes.
Okay. So Tom, it also had the right number of syllables with both. I mean, that's art. That's like Shakespeare, dude. Come on, give me some props for the Shakespeare quick hits. So Tom, before we get to our one thing, can you share with us? We have a networking event tomorrow afternoon, Thursday, February 25th at 4 p.m. Eastern time. Really want to see you there. This is a different kind of networking event. This is not going to be 30 seconds, go around the room, and everyone has to prattle and listen to everyone else for the whole hour. This is going to be interactive. We're going to put you in a room with one other person, and we're going to give you a topic to talk about, something that's going to cause you to want to talk. We've done this a lot. It becomes more about the person and less about the business. If you're suffering from isolation, if you miss being able to engage with other people, this is going to be the way to do it. You'll meet 6, 7, 8, 9 different people in the room in a one-on-one setting for a couple of minutes. It is really awesome. So it's totally free. All you have to do is go to the Ring of Renegades Facebook group, and you can join us there. Second thing, we have a clubhouse today at 1 p.m. Eastern time. Tom Brush is going to be doing this one solo, so please join him in Clubhouse because I'd hate for him to be all alone there. If you do not know what Clubhouse is and you have an iPhone or an iPad, please send Tom or me a note. We will get you an invitation and you can be on Clubhouse at 1 p.m. today. Clubhouse is a great way to have just an audio discussion. It's kind of like the 1950s party line where everyone gets together and you go up on stage, as they like to call it, and you can speak. And it's a great opportunity to just do a check-in in the middle of the week. And where are you on the things you're trying to do this week? And I know Tom, he's one of those guys that if you're having a little struggle, he might even give you some insight and, a way to improve things. And then the other thing is on Friday at 11 a.m., I've got that right? 11:30.
11:30.
11:30 a.m. Eastern time, we will be doing the last clubhouse of the week for us. And that is where we're going to look at what we've learned over the course of the week. One of the things Tom and I have really tried to work on is helping ourselves and helping others figure out what we've learned from the week. Every week has an opportunity. Every week we discover things, whether it's, I didn't think that was going to happen. Wow, that was a surprise. Or, wow, that was really cool. We want to put those together because what you may have discovered this week may be something that I need to understand better. And so join us on Clubhouse Friday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern time when we will be talking about lessons learned from the week. So with that, Tom, it's time for the one thing, that little thing that we can think about, ponder, maybe change to just approach life differently. And I would assume it's going to be around the role of words and triggers.
So you want me to share that? Is that what you're
Sure, that'd be great.
Is that because you didn't have one and you
Absolutely.
I just think that, I think we've heard it all the time that the role of words matter. And I think that if not that we have to be so careful about every word we choose. And it's good to think differently about that. I think that so often, how many times have you heard someone who uses the same word over and over and over and over and over again in a presentation? I know I've been in spaces where people started grabbing a pen and all they were doing was checking off every time they say that word. And they had a lot of check marks. And that impacts the audience. That person has stopped listening to whatever your message is. And likely there are others who have as well. And so I think that if we take a moment and not feel like we just have to blast out exactly what we're saying and actually contemplate the words that we choose and what is the impact that it might have on us as well as what it might have on others. I actually think that we think more about what it may have on others than we do about what it does to us. And the words that we use impact us much greater. And yeah, we don't realize it. And so it's something we could think about differently. So that would be my thing.
I like that. I like the idea of the power of words. And to me, I studied journalism. So we studied a lot about words and how you use words when I was in college. And one of my instructors said at one point, he said, words have great power. You can use them to empower others and yourself, or you can use them to destroy others and yourself. You have a choice with those words. And we have a choice with the words we use. if I come into a call and say I'm a hot mess today, I'm setting a tone. I'm prejudging myself in that person's eyes probably. And that filters and covers, that stands over top of whatever we accomplish. And I think we do it sometimes because we're scared. I think we do it sometimes because we don't know. But I like your idea of thinking about the words that we're using and are they achieving the result we want? Because
it allows us to be comfortable when things don't go well. Well, I knew that was going to happen.
Right.
You talk to teams and they all think about, well, there's no chance of us winning this.
Right.
Any really good athlete maybe understands that the other team may be more talented. And they also understand that there is the opportunity for them to win. The game hasn't been played. It could happen. And how do we put ourselves in the best position to move forward? Same for us as businesses. If I go into this presentation, this meeting, and I'm thinking they're never going to sign, I bet, I don't bet very often, that the likelihood is they are not going to become a client. So I think you're right. I think
the words in our head are another thing. Because in that scenario, even if you don't say it out loud, if you're thinking it as you walk in, you're coloring it. You're putting a judgment onto it that may or may not be true. And I think a lot of times our mind is so powerful at fulfilling whatever we say in our head that we want. So if we want it not to work, pretty easy for our mind to, hey, I got you covered. I can sink this ship real quick.
Absolutely. Well, we hope that you've enjoyed our discussion today. If you have a different one thing, please share it in the comments. We'd love to hear your thoughts on this because we know that not only will it likely be beneficial for us, there are others out there who can benefit from your wisdom and what's real for you. So please feel free to share that. And if these are the conversations you enjoy having and you're not already a member of our Ring of Renegades Facebook group, please join us. All you have to do is go to Facebook, search for Ring of Renegades. Now, it is a private group because we are building a community and we want to create a space where we can have these conversations and help one another take our next steps. So all you have to do is ask to join and tell us why you're a renegade. And then you can become a part of this growing community that is helping people move along their own unique pathway to success. So we look forward to seeing you there. If you are on Clubhouse, I hope I will see you at 1 o'clock today, Eastern time, where we're going to do a leaders check-in and check-up. And then, if not, we will see you tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Eastern time for our next edition of today's Antidote. And if you're struggling with trying how to eliminate some of those words, you might want to join our Renegade Success Network, where we'll help you walk through the steps of how to relook at some of the words that you are choosing and how they are potentially holding you back from being where you want to be, what you want to do, and achieving that success. So here's some further information about our Renegade Success Network. Have a great day, everyone. Are you struggling to make your vision a reality? Are you stuck and don't know what to do next? Are fear and doubt holding you back? The Renegade Success Network will help you determine the next steps on your pathway. Here is some of what you will get. Create your pathway call to start you on a better path. Unlimited laser solution sessions to keep you from getting stuck. Nurture your network events to build your network with other successful leaders. Monthly Renegade challenges to prepare you for what lies ahead. The Renegade Success Vault, giving you access to videos, tools, and tips on specific topics anytime you need them. And the Renegade Success Network community, an exclusive Facebook group of like-minded renegades, all working towards achieving their goals. You have a choice. Do it yourself and fumble forward slowly and alone. Or join the Renegade Success Network and be part of a community built
to help you find your own pathway. Join today at RenegadeSuccessNetwork.com. Act now and jumpstart your journey on your own pathway to success.